Okay. All right, I'd like to call to order the Clarkston Independence District Library Board of Trustees meeting for April 21st, 2014 at 6:02. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. We pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney. Here. Michelle Ginn.
Here.
Dan Green.
Here.
Mary Himberg.
Here.
Allison McFadden Kiesling.
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Kay Robertson absent. Julie Meredith here.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Call to the public. We have a member of the public tonight. Hi, so please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate you opening the floor. Thanks to the whole board for allowing me to come in and just share a few minutes of your time tonight. I thought that what I could do is just introduce myself to you and then tell you a little bit about our campaign platform. So my name is Nate Napper. I am a candidate for state representative here in the 43rd House District, which includes, of course, Clarkston and Independence Township. And I'm a 17-year Clarkston resident. I care about the community very much and am anxious to serve down in Lansing. I currently work in Lansing as an assistant attorney general in Bill Schuete's office, where I work in his elections division. I'm also a former White House intern, and I've served at the Michigan House and the Senate in a volunteer capacity as well. In terms of my education, I graduated from Oakland Christian High School in 2004, Calvin College in 2008, that's on the west side in Grand Rapids, and then in 2011 from Pepperdine Law School out in California. So I left for a while, and then I came back to serve my community after a stint out west. So that's a little bit about my background in terms of my biography, and just to share a couple of minutes about the campaign platform. The message of the campaign is going to be a new wave in Republican leadership. A new wave in Republican leadership. And what I think that means to me is three things. It's defined by three characteristics. It's really a brand of leadership or an approach to public service that I've identified. The characteristics are prepared, principled, and practical. So the new wave in Republican leadership is prepared, principled, and practical. So to go through those one by one, what do I mean by prepared? Well, I think that when you're talking about preparation, what you need from a state representative is you need somebody who's prepared to go into Lansing, to the legislature, and serve and get things done on day one. And I think that I have the ability to do that. As I said, I already work downtown. I serve as an assistant attorney general, and in that capacity, it gives you a fantastic opportunity to work with all of the major players downtown, whether it's from our department or members of the governor's staff or, of course, people from the legislature. You get to work with them on a fairly regular basis. And as an attorney, writing, analyzing, defending statutes, that's part of what I do on a day-to-day basis. And so from that standpoint, I think that preparation has served me well in order to step into the state representative role and serve in Lansing on day one, right, when the new year turns 2015. So preparation is part of the new wave in Republican leadership. The second part is being principled. And what I mean by principled is that, firstly, you don't abandon the convictions that make you who you are as an individual, but then you don't also abandon the convictions that make your party what it is. So I'm running as a Republican person, and that means a couple of things to me. Economically, I believe in low taxes. I believe in responsible spending. I believe in limited government. I ran a lawn business in Clarkston for 13 years before I went off to law school, and I even maintained it a little while I was in law school, back during my summers in between semesters. So I know what it takes to make a buck. I understand how hard people have to work for their money, and I respect the value of people's time. So I do understand how much people value their money, and I want to be responsible with the tax dollars that we're given. So that's my economic approach. Socially, I am a Christian person. I'm a person of faith. I'm a member of 5 Points Community Church. I've gone there for over a decade. Happy Easter to all of you, belated. And what that means to me socially, in terms of my political platform, is that I will never vote for anything that's pro-choice. I am a pro-life candidate, firmly so. And also on the marriage front, I know this is a controversial issue right now. I know this isn't the popular thing to say these days. Nonetheless, I do believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. My office is currently working to defend that definition according to the Michigan Marriage Amendment, and I'm proud to serve under an Attorney General who's willing to take that stand. So those are my social views, and in terms of principles, that's where I'm coming from. So, you know, you're prepared and you're principled. That's part of the new wave. But then the final point is important, and it's the practical piece. You're prepared, you're principled, and you're practical. And so what I mean by practical is that while you do have your own convictions, you do have things that you deeply believe in, I think simultaneously what you have to recognize is that there are people on the other side of the aisle who have strong convictions and viewpoints that probably differ from your own. And they hold them for very good reasons that you need to dive into and explore sometimes. I love what the Michigan State football coach said when he recently came to the state capitol. He said, politics is a lot like team sports, right? He said, in that sense, to the extent that we're going anywhere, we're going together. We're going somewhere together. And I think that that's very true for us in politics, just like in team sports. You have to get past the us versus them mentality that leads to this stalemate and gridlock that none of us like, and you have to accept the fact that it's a we effort. And I think that what that means for me is respectful engagement with the other side. I don't want to disrespect others. I don't want to dismiss their viewpoints. I want to take what they have to say seriously and try to find a middle way, a common ground to the extent that I can. And I think that for better or worse, we've been known as the party that's sort of bigoted and dismissive, and they're the party of no. They just say no to everything, and nobody cares about what they have to say because they're out of touch. That's not me. I want to serve as this new wave, this new generation that's coming up that knows how to talk to your generation and the people of my own generation, and try to find a middle way to get good things done. So, prepared, principled, practical. That's my understanding of the new wave in Republican leadership. I'll give you guys all a card. I brought them with me. But there's a website on here. I'd encourage you to visit it if you'd like more information on the platform. And I'm happy to answer any questions either now or afterwards if anybody's interested at all. So thank you for your time. I won't take up any more of it, but I just wanted to introduce myself to the members of the board so that you have a name with a face when the signs start to go up. So thank you very much. I'll give you all a card.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, please.
Are you a resident of Independence Township?
Technically, yes. My address says 7600 Allen Road, Clarkston, Michigan, but we pay taxes to Independence Township. So I'm a Independence Township resident, technically.
Okay, second question.
Yep.
What's your stand on the millage renewal?
Stand on the millage, yes. I was just told about this before the meeting, and so I'm actually going to defer my answer because I was just told about it, and I haven't had a chance to read any information about it, and I think that's unwise to make a snap judgment without knowing anything about it. So I'm going to defer that to a later date when I know more information, because this is the first time hearing about it tonight from Ms. Pomeroy.
Okay.
So sorry I can't answer more fully at this moment. There we go. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments tonight? Okay, if not, we'll call to the public closed. I'll accept a motion for the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented in the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Now we'll have the library director's report. It's been busy this month. Every month.
Every month, yeah. Okay, so for the library director's report, just under general information, the library was without power on Sunday, April 13th, 2014. However, it was restored late in the evening, so we were able to open at the normal time on Monday, April 14th, 2014. We were quite busy that day with people using computers, the wireless, and even charging their cell phones since so many people were without power at home. So we got to go above and beyond what we normally do that day. On the last director's report, I had let you know that the RICO technician still needed to come back and finalize the connection with our coin-op machine on our new copier, and he has done so. So that's all set. 2 weeks ago, we discovered a problem with some of the compact fluorescent light bulbs that were installed in some of the can lights during the grant-funded lighting project 3 years ago. Some of these bulbs were too high of a wattage for their fixtures, and they were overheating, so we contacted Midwest Illumination, which is the local company that installed those bulbs, and they brought the appropriate bulbs for the change-out, so that was all taken care of.
Now, did they do the change-out, or did we have to do the change-out?
No, we did the change-out, but
Right.
but they did bring the bulbs, and obviously they didn't
Julie,
cost
how
me.
did you know they were overheating?
When Arlene went to change some of them out that had burned out, they were scorched. So, yeah, we were very, very concerned. And the interesting thing is I called them and I said, well, I've got these compact fluorescent bulbs and they're a little scorched. And he said, oh, no, they get this kind of brown on them when they age and whatever. I said, no, I think these look scorched. So Arlene took them over to him and he called me right away and said, you're right, they're scorched. So, yeah, so they came over immediately with replacement bulbs and changed out everything that was enough to change out everything that was inappropriate. Yeah. In their defense, they are not the ones who designed the bulbs that were supposed to go in those fixtures. That was done by another company, and they just supplied the bulbs and actually put them in. So it wasn't their fault that they were the wrong bulbs.
But there was one that works better.
There was one, yes. Yep. On April 7th, the township transferred the final portion of the millage money that they collected on the winter tax bill for library service. Last year, the transfer was made on March 5th, 2013, so this year's transfer was made a full month later than last year. And this is important detail to note regarding cash flow going into the next year, as the library's fund balance is all that sustains us until the township turns over these funds. So they actually do the collection, and then they turn them over. Normally, the collection goes from December until February. And then they turn over those funds. So we're running essentially on fund balance, since we're January to December fiscal year, we're running on whatever we have in the fund balance from January till the time they turn it over. And this year it didn't happen until April, so that was 4 months on fund balance.
What was the reason for the delay? Do you know?
No idea.
Okay.
So hopefully that won't be the case next year, but it does put us in kind of an awkward situation. It does create a problem with cash flow. Due to the additional workload of interviewing for replacement staff in the upcoming Millage and our Geek Week celebration, the details of the library's bank accounts will be on your May. I said I was going to put it on this month, and I'm behind. I apologize. I will get it on your May meeting agenda. I just need some time to finish up some of those details. So, in terms of collaborations and projects, thanks to the generous support of the Friends of the Library and the Clarkston Community Women's Club, our Geek Week celebration during spring break was a huge success.
Great.
We had great turnout for all of our programs. Nelson's Wildlife Safari, a family-friendly live animal program that featured a barn owl, a kinkajou, 6 sugar gliders, a 4-foot alligator, and a 10-foot Burmese python.
Ooh, I bet they like that.
Entertained more than 150 kids and their parents.
Awesome.
And then the Women's Club 60th Anniversary Tea was a beautifully decorated, sophisticated affair that boasted more than 60 attendees and was a wonderful opportunity to reminisce about the dedicated ladies that have made Clarkston the hometown that we love. So it was an interesting, a little bit of something for everyone all week long. We had movies and all kinds of things going on. It was really a great week. We took additional geek photos to put up, so we'll have some additional posters to put up in a few weeks. So really a lovely time had by all. On Thursday, April 17th, the library participated in the Mind Body Geek Expo hosted by the Clarkston Area Chamber of Commerce. That was over at the high school. This is geared towards students and their parents, and we took the opportunity to publicize our upcoming summer reading program. The Friends of the Library funded a bubble giveaway. It was these great little test tube bubbles, or touchable bubbles. You blow them and they don't pop right away. You can catch them, and that was great fun. And that fit with our Fizz Boom Read science-based theme that we're using this summer. So thank you to the Friends for doing that. Apparently those were a huge hit at the expo as well. The Friends of the Library Spring Book Sale will take place on April 30th to May 3rd. And if anybody would like to volunteer to assist, the sign-up sheets are available in the library. And they wanted me to point out that this book sale is a week later than it usually is because of the way Easter fell. So I suspect next year we'll probably be back on a similar schedule to what we have been in the past, but we wanted to make sure everybody knew it was coming up a little bit later this year. The Friends of the Library are sponsoring a document shredding day on Saturday, March 10th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can shred up to 5 boxes or bags in the Cintas Secure Document Shredding Mobile Unit for a small donation to the Friends of only $10, and all those proceeds do go to the Friends. So now that tax season is wrapping up and you're looking at those big boxes of stuff that you wish you no longer had, you can put them in the trunk of your car, drive up to this mobile unit, and the very nice person from Cintas will take it out of the car and throw it into the big shredding unit, and you can watch it be shredded.
Cool.
So that's a really
May 10th.
neat thing on May 10th. Yep. I want to remind everybody to join us for the Clarkson Community Awards Breakfast on Tuesday, May 13th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. at the Clarkson Community Church. Our own Jean Molson will be honored as Citizen of the Year for her dedicated service to the Garden Club, After School Enrichment, and of course the library. Tickets can be purchased for $12 online or over the phone, and the contact information is www.clarkstoncommunity.org or 248-625-1388. And last but certainly not least, mark your calendar for the second annual Friends of the Library Chocolate Celebration on Tuesday, May 20th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Sample bite-sized morsels of culinary creations from local cooks and vote for your favorite. Prizes will be awarded for the delicacies with the most votes.
Okay. Any comment, questions for Julie?
Lots of activities.
Lots of stuff going on, yeah.
That's good. That's a
Sounds
good
very
thing.
good.
It is, yeah, we're really excited about that.
All right, well, let's move to regular business. And number one, the review of the pet adoption program. Julie's asked Lawrence for a little more specific information on that. And so I'm suggesting we table that to the May meeting, if that's acceptable with everyone. Number two.
I think we need a motion.
Oh, motion.
Yeah, we do. So I so moved. We
Thank you,
table.
Dan.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded that we move the review of the pet adoption program to May on the 12th. Any questions or comments? So make sure,
Oh, we have lots of time.
yes, it's not a problem. Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Okay, number two, the review of the Notary Public Services Policy.
We've been doing notary public services for several years, and we've run into a few little details in terms of what we should and shouldn't be doing. So Keegan put this together for us in order to cover a few points. Specifically, I-9 forms are problematic, and we are getting more and more requests to verify I-9 forms, and we should not be doing that, so we wanted to make this policy, clarify it, and then put it on the website so that people know for sure what we do and we don't do in terms of notary. We do notary free of charge for residents of the Charter Township of Independence and the City of the Village of Clarkston, and then for non-residents, it is a fee of $10, just so that the public knows in terms of the service. But are there any questions about the policy itself?
I do have a question, and this may, what is an I-9 form? I feel
The
like we
I-9
should
form
know that.
is the form that we use to verify that you're not an illegal alien. So all employers have to have, it's when they ask for a copy of, say, your driver's license and your passport or whatever in order to prove that. And what's happening is people are coming in and they are sort of working from home for companies that are in other states. And that company is asking us to verify that person's ID remotely. And technically what we're supposed to do is we can verify signatures and things like that, but we're not supposed to verify documents. And we've had more and more people coming in wanting us to do that, and no one will do it. And when we checked into it more closely, certain states are absolutely positively, no, you can't do that. And it was a little bit unclear whether or not Michigan allows for it or not. And we've determined that whether or not Michigan allows for it, we shouldn't be doing it.
It's too gray an area.
It's
Okay.
too gray of an area, yeah, and the notaries we have here on staff are really not comfortable doing it, so, because you're verifying the authenticity of an actual document, and that's just outside of what we
That
should be
would be
doing.
difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So who would actually do that?
Well, unfortunately, the notaries need to stand up and say, we won't do this, because the company should be doing it themselves. They shouldn't be sort of foisting this responsibility off on somebody else.
On a notary.
Because essentially,
It's their responsibility.
It's their responsibility to prove to the government that they're not hiring illegal aliens, and they're not verifying the documents themselves. They're asking us to sign off and say, oh, no, we verified that this is accurate, and then it takes it completely out of their responsibility, and that's,
We're not comfortable with
we're not
that.
comfortable with
Okay.
that, and they should be told that it shouldn't be done so that they take that responsibility back upon themselves. If no one will do it for their employees, then they're going to have to take it back on. So,
Okay. All
I'll
right.
move that we approve the notary services policy as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this policy?
I just think it's good that we have it actually in writing now. It makes it more clearer for the notaries.
Yes. Okay, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Okay, now a review of our capitalization policy.
This capitalization policy was put together by our accountant, and it is based on what is basically standard for libraries. Where we tripped up is that I had forgotten that this particular policy, when she drew it up, did not get put in with the list of policies that the board had approved. And it's not official for the audit until it has been board approved, so I'm bringing it forward for that this evening.
Okay,
It is quite detailed, but it's very clear.
yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 pages. Does anyone have a question about, since the board has looked at this, does anyone have a question about any of these areas?
No, and I think it's good that we have this in place.
Okay, we'll accept a motion.
So moved. I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the capitalization policy as presented. Are there any comments or questions about any of those areas? If not, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion is carried. Okay, next, millage update.
Okay. The ballot language documentation is ready to be submitted to Oakland County with copies going to the clerks of both the township and the city, and I will be submitting that tomorrow. The basics of the millage information were published in the Township Times, which was included in the Clarkston News on April 16th of 2014. At their meeting on April 14th, 2014, the City Council approved a resolution to roll down the general fund millage rate for city residents to prevent them from being double billed for library service when the library millage passes. And I'd like to thank Richard Vizio for creating that resolution that I provided to the City Council. He is an attorney and I am not. So he did that, and we did not have to pay our attorney to do it, and they did not have to pay their attorney to do it, so that was very generous of him to do that for us.
Yes.
I've done informational presentations about the library's millage for a concerned citizens group that has formed a Library Yes Political Action Committee, for Dr. Rock and the board of the PTA and PTO presidents of Clarkston Community Schools, the Clarkston Community Women's Club. I've been scheduled to present to the Senior Center Advisory Committee and the Independence Conservatives Club, and I'm working on arrangements to speak to the Clarkston Community Schools School Board. And then the Friends of the Library have provided me with funding for an information-only bookmark of millage details, which we will be able to hand out in the library to people checking out, at the book sales, that sort of thing. And they also, we had talked in passing about redoing the promotional video that is on the library's website, and the Friends have voted to fund that as well. So they will be funding a 3-minute promotional video, and I will get to work on that in short order.
We'll be able to give that to Matt.
Yep. So that can go on to public.
Julie,
access.
who did they decide to go with on that?
They did decide to go with Extra Mile Video, yeah, so. Yep. It was just a much more reasonable price, and
Yes.
Epic Motion did a great job, but it was just really out of our price
Yeah,
range.
it really
There was
is.
just too big a
Yeah,
gap.
it
in
really
the
wasn't a lot,
price.
and I, from
Yeah.
what I saw that Extra Mile could do, it seemed
Mhm.
like that would be
Yep.
something
Lots
that
of
would work
energy.
for us.
Excellent. Any other questions about the millage at this point? We seem to be on target.
Yeah, so far, so good.
So now it's just informing the residents that there is a millage.
See the video.
All right, let's look at number 5, 2013 audit update.
Most of the field work has been completed for the 2013 audit. We did struggle to get certain information from the township, but I believe we have the pieces that are needed from them. There are 2 small pieces of data that still needed to be provided by our accountant, and those should be submitted next week. She does taxes for a lot of organizations, and she kind of got bogged down in that. And so the auditor was quite understanding that her couple of pieces were going to come after tax time was over, so those will go in next week, and the auditors are fine with that. Near the end of the data collection process, the auditor stated that she would like to know the amount of OPEB money. OPEB money is that retiree health care money that's in trust, and money from the library's budget has been put into that account over the course of the last several years, as well as fund balance money that went in 2007 to fund for the retiree health care as promised by the township to the employees. One employee did retire from the township, and so that OPEB money needs to have a piece of it left behind for the township in order to pay for her health care going forward. The rest of it needs to be returned to the library, and the auditor would like that amount clarified. She stated she would like to know the exact amount, although that's a little bit complicated, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This information is calculated through an actuarial process. The actuarial that the township completed in June of 2013 only covers through December of 2011, which is prior to the separation of the library from the township and prior to the termination of the library employees. So essentially what their actuarial says is that the library is all overfunded as if there were still 9 employees there. So you can imagine how much overfunded it is now that they only have one. This puts us in the position of needing to fund a supplemental actuarial, and so I've added to the agenda a discussion of that actuarial and the proposed supplement. So, any questions about the audit itself, though? It's been going fairly smoothly. They are extremely thorough, and
That's what you wanted in all this.
Well, since
Yeah,
this
that's
is our
exactly what you
first,
wanted to know.
our first true audit as an independent organization, so we want to make sure that everything is done correctly.
we're learning a lot. They're being very patient with us. There are some things that obviously we thought we were doing best practices, but there's some documentation that they're saying to us, what you're doing is okay, but it would be even better if you would do it this way. And so as those come up, Debbie and I are putting those into place, so that next year when the audit comes up, it should be a breeze, theoretically. We're hoping.
Well, it's always a learning curve when we're working on something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best practice, they'll come up with some
I'm
new.
sure.
I'm sure they will.
Always happens.
I'm sure they will.
Well, if that is the case, then let's move to this discussion of what we need in terms of an actuarial study.
Okay. So just a brief description. When the library was a township department, the library employees had retiree health care as a benefit. GASB 42 and 45 define that municipalities fund this benefit, and the money known as OPEB was taken from the library's fund balance and annual budget and placed into a trust designated to cover the library employees in the future. When the library separated from the township, one library employee retired from the township and would need to have health care funded from this trust. The remaining money is considered overfunding because the township no longer has library employees that would retire and draw upon this fund. Because it is dedicated library millage money, the township must return the overfunding to the library. To determine how much money needs to remain in the account to cover the retired library employees, an actuarial will be required. And this is the discussion regarding that actuarial. So just to kind of draw together item number 5 and item number 6. What the accountant is looking for is essentially this liability that is owed to the library by the township. The problem is it's a lot of speculation. So the idea of an actuarial is that you're trying to estimate how much money will be needed for this employee that is drawing from the account. Estimating how long that she will live, how much health care will cost in the future, and it is a trust. So it's invested money, how much those investments might grow over the course of time. The problem with an actuarial is that because it is all estimation, it has to be agreed upon what the parameters of the actuarial would be. So are we going to estimate that healthcare is going to go up 3% per year, 6% per year, 100% per year? And then, an estimate of how much the investments themselves will grow.
I have a question about that, because normally in a trust, there is a stated assumed rate of return
Right.
that's set up by the trust documents and their valuation documents. So it doesn't seem to me that that's something that would shift.
Some of it will and some of it won't. And what the actuarial was saying, essentially what the auditor suggested is that I contact the company that did the first actuarial so that at least the variables stay the same. So then that's what I did. And I contacted them and I said, okay, well, we need a supplement because their actuarial only goes to 2011. The library didn't spin off till December 31st of 2012 when they terminated all the library employees and then they kept that one retired employee.
Which is another question I had. Aren't they required to have an annual?
No, every 3 years.
Oh, okay.
But the timing of their actuarial, they did it in 2013, but it only went to 2011. So unfortunately, that actuarial, while it does say it's overfunded and it can tell us how much they owe up until 2011, it doesn't take the rest of it into account.
All right.
So what the auditor suggested is to contact the company that did the original actuarial and request a supplement. So I called the actuarial and I said to them, okay, this is what we need to do. And she said, well, here's the thing. Of course, the township is going to want you to leave as much money behind as possible, and you're going to want to take as much money with you as possible, and so we're going to need to find that middle ground where everybody's kind of in agreement. So what you have before you is a proposed plan from the actuarial. And what I'm asking tonight is how we would like to proceed. Do we take this plan and go meet with the township supervisor, treasurer, clerk, whatever, and whoever would like to be involved and sit down and say, okay, this is the information that we need to figure out through an actuarial and try and get everybody kind of on the same page before we pay to have the study done. We don't want to have it done and have them look at it and say, well, yeah, but we don't agree with any of the parameters that you've used here. The problem with this actuarial is that the auditor wants this before we can complete the audit.
Mhm.
So it's problematic in terms of getting our audit done in a timely fashion. And so I talked to the auditor about potentially getting an extension for our audit because I find it very difficult to believe that trying to negotiate this with the township and get this done in a timely fashion will get us done in time for the deadline. And they explained to me that there isn't really a process for getting an extension, but that given the situation that our library was spun off, this is our first independent audit, this is information we did not realize was going to be needed, that we should probably write a letter to the Treasury and say to them, we've got this situation and there's no way that we can put this together. The auditor is insisting that we have this data before we can complete the audit. But there's no way that we can, I mean, we could do a supplement and just give a number for the sake of the audit, but if we're going to pay to have the actuarial, then it should be something that's actually usable. Instead of just.
Now, when will the township do their next, are they doing it every three, it only goes through 2011, so they really
But there's a
need-
lag time,
Well,
Oh,
so,
they don't have to do it this year?
No, it goes through 2011, but it's dated 2013, June of 2013, so they don't
Because
have to
you
do another
can't-
actuarial until
there's-
2016.
there's a big lag time between,
Mhm. Yep.
because they have to look at all that historical data, and, I mean, that part does make sense to me, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought maybe if they were required, a lot of funds have to do that annually, and then you wouldn't
Well, this
have
one's-
quite so long a.
This one's by law every 3 years, so.
So who would we be speaking to that knows this information at the township?
Well,
The finance department?
that's a good question. It would need to be, I'm assuming we would need to probably talk to the supervisor, the treasurer, and the clerk, the 3 full-time elected officials.
They might all have a piece of the information. A couple of the questions in here, though, are there actually 1 or 2 employees?
There's just one.
That seems like a major glitch, that somehow they misinformation, because
What do you
if their
look-
data schedules included in the last one show another library retiree, I guess I wonder how that happened, or is
There
there another-
shouldn't be another library retiree.
What area are we looking at?
I'm
right
looking under the
B.
report 1B, and when I read this this morning, I wondered the same thing. How could there be a question? That seems like a major thing, whether there's 1 or 2 employees.
You're talking about 1B because it says provide a listing of which
On
library
the
members.
proposed plan.
Yeah.
At the very bottom. it
At the very
says,
bottom, the last sentence.
Show another library, they show another library retiree.
What's that about?
I'm not really sure because it's my understanding that, I mean, even the township didn't mention any other ones when I talked to them, so
You would know.
I'm assuming, well, that would be data that would be held by the township, and when we were a township department, we were not always privy to all of those details. So it could be somebody from a long time ago, or it could be somebody who's misidentified
Oh,
in the actuarial data.
But it could be
so-
somebody from a while ago and, or a spouse, a
Oh,
covered
Who's
spouse of
receiving
someone that from
benefits.
some time ago that,
Yep.
oh.
but it does seem like the township should have that information.
The department director, well, no, we don't have a department director that has spouses that would apply, so.
That's what I'm
Well, no,
wondering.
those are settlements. Those are settlements.
Okay, so we
So I think
obviously
we should
have a couple things to
proceed
clear
with
up.
this plan.
But the first question is how to proceed, and the first thing we need to do is kind of look over this plan and then talk to the township and basically get their reaction to, I mean, they're going to be pleased that it's our intention to pay for it, and that's the position we're in. We have to have the data for our audit, so we obviously have to pay to have this done. But I think that the steps that need to be taken is that we need a couple of library board members and sitting down with the township board.
When would you
members
like to
and
do
figure
this? You better do
We
it
need to do
soon.
Very soon, very,
As soon
very
as
soon.
possible if the township agrees.
Do you want to call and see if you can set up a meeting
Absolutely, I
within
can do that.
a week or so?
Yep, I can do that.
Do we have any volunteers?
It depends on when it's going to happen. I got a bunch of, I mean, I feel like I should volunteer because I am a little bit knowledgeable about
Yes,
it.
we would like that.
But my schedule's really tight, so,
Maybe the two of us can get together and look at your calendar,
Okay.
and would that be okay?
Yeah.
If we can get it out of, would next week be better than, I mean, if I push it out a little further, would that?
I have a sometime late this week and then next week, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
So,
put you
Well,
on
if
the
no,
spot.
that's all right, but I'll get with you and.
Okay, we can do that.
Well, that would be, I think that would be, the first step is
Yeah.
that we have this issue, we need to talk to the township about it, see what the
And I'm a
parameters.
little bit concerned because their finance director is leaving, so.
So this is here, she leaving?
I don't really know exactly, and so I'm not sure who's going to be, because she would have been the one who arranged for the
Right.
actuarial that we currently have. And I didn't even bother to put that in your packet simply because the information at this point is irrelevant. What we're talking about right now is the supplemental information.
Who administers the trust? Is that MERS that administers?
It's a MERS trust. It is. It's a MERS trust.
Okay, so definitely we need to move forward
Okay, so I'll work with Jan and we'll figure out how to do that.
and see what kind of time. Then, if you want another member to come, just let us know when there's a meeting and
Okay,
we'll see who's available. How's that?
okay.
All right.
So do we need to make a motion then to approve moving forward with this? Or can we just?
I don't know at this point because I haven't asked for any money for it yet. And we don't have any parameters. That's why I put in there
There's
that
nothing
the vote is
in there,
really
so I
dependent on
wondered about
discussion. I think that,
Nothing really to.
but we needed to kind of figure out how to move forward because they handed me this and I thought, okay.
Okay.
Responsible, sort of. So, okay.
So
very
we
good.
definitely need to talk to someone who's aware of
Yep.
actuarial studies and finance at the township department.
Yes.
So we see what we can do there
And then
first.
also clarify, the one piece that I didn't mention is that I had mentioned to the auditor the possibility of making sure that what we do fits within what they find to be acceptable. And they basically told me that if we want them at the meeting, that's outside of the parameters, that would cost us extra. I don't know that they physically need to be at the meeting, but whatever we come up with in terms of the description of what the actuarial will look like, I think they should review. I think that should be included since they're the one requiring the data.
Right.
But I just wanted to let you know that they did say that if we wanted them at the meeting, they would charge us additional money in order to extend
And
that.
however much this ends up costing is like an hourly fee that we pay, depending on how much time they spend doing it?
Well, the actuarial, once we've given the parameters, and depending on, it depends a lot on how detailed we want the supplement to be, but the auditor estimated it would be a couple $1,000s to have this supplement done.
Which is not unusual for a supplemental.
Yeah.
Also, normally the supplementals, the scope of a supplemental does not really require a presentation by the actuary.
Right.
I mean, if they're giving you a full actuarial study, it helps if somebody can interpret it, but for a supplemental,
Right,
that shouldn't be necessary.
for this one aspect.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, you're only looking in this case probably at one employee. And
Or potentially two, I'm not sure.
yeah, well, that's kind of unclear, but somebody should have some information that will
I
show that.
I think as soon as I see the list, I'll know for sure whether
Yeah.
it's one of ours or somebody who might have been accidentally categorized in the wrong list. Yep.
All right. So we'll move ahead with that, and you can let us know
I will do so.
what works there. All right, in that case, I will accept a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 6:42.